Hi, I'm Leah Louise with Inspired Quilting by Leah Louise. Welcome to my sewing room. I have a real pretty quilt here behind me today, and it's a 4-patch made from fat quarters. And essentially we cut a bunch of 10-inch squares and cross-cut them into an asymmetrical 4-patch and loaded it up with lots of different fabrics, and it came out beautiful. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of contrast. There's a lot of interest, some great fabrics. It's a very fun quilt to make. And though I made this out of batik, so you can use any kind of fabric for this pattern. The pattern here is a baby size quilt. It is 4 blocks by 6, and they finish out at 9 inches. So this one is 36 by 48. And all you need is one 10-inch square for each block. You're going to layer them and cross-cut them in order to get the asymmetrical 4-patch, but all you need initially are those 10-inch squares in order to create enough blocks for whatever size quilt you want. So you decide and then select your fat quarters and cut them into the 10-inch squares that we need. And be sure and download the tutorial. There's a quick reference tutorial down below that'll show you step by step how to cut these blocks. It's a lot of fun. It's very easy. There are very few matching seams, which is something that I particularly like because it goes together so quickly. So I hope you enjoy this. Well, it seems obvious that I'm not using much of my purple. I have a ton of fat quarter purple fabrics, and I need to use them. So this is what I started with. I selected these because there were a variety of shades of purple as well as they all had dots. So that's kind of my common theme. From there, I went and picked some other purple fabrics that kind of tied in, different shades of purple that work together. This is a bit on the gray side. I think that'll work okay. That's a questionable one. This brings in some great fuchsia. What I loved about these is here we have swirls and curved organic lines. Here we have some more curves and some circles and swirls. So these all work with the dots. And then the floral is also something that I want to carry through on this quilt just because I really love floral prints. So we did that, and then I needed some lighter colors because this by itself, there isn't enough there to really stand out. So I found these, and I really like them. What I'm bringing in is that neutral beigey color in a bunch of these. This also has some of the blue, which brings in these dark blues in here. And this light lavender I probably won't use a lot of, but a little bit will look nice. I like this because it has the lavender and the blue together along with that background color. Oh, and there's a big piece of that. And this I just love because there's a lot going on. It kind of enhances that piece there and there with the pinks and those bright yellows and this with the bright pink dots. So there's some fun pieces. This works well with that. And then here we just have some more little floral bits going. So right there we have some good colors. We have some dark tones and we have some lighter pieces. And I really wanted more contrast. So that's where this little bundle came in. And I used these recently, so these are not full fat quarters, but this quilt pattern is not going to require a full fat quarter. We're only going to be using a couple squares out of each one. So we need somewhere between 35 and 40 different fat quarters for this pattern, unless you want to make it out of the same fabrics and be repetitive with the same color block. But I love mixing it up. So I have dark, there's actually 2 pieces in here, this ferny one and then a pretty floral and some cute little leaves on some swirly lines. Here we're bringing in some color. This is the fuchsia. So we're getting some more colors in, bringing in the blue backgrounds as well as focusing on that dark one. And then I wanted some lighter tones. I checked out my, my layer cakes, and these are layer cake leftovers that I think are going to work really well. They have some fun colors, some fun graphics. I like this sort of rosy, mauve-y looking pink color. This is kind of fun. It brings that background color in. This is an organic with some different colors, the blues, the pink, the purple. And of course, you know, I love these florals. This has teal and purple dots. So I think I found some really good pieces to put together here. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab 4 and cut some 10-inch pieces. Now, if you aren't sure how to do that with a fat quarter, there's a link down below that has the fat quarter conversion charts. And there's also a video on specifically how to cut fat quarters for quilting. But I like using a 10-inch block for this because it's a manageable size and it's easy to cut out of my fat quarters because it's a common size that I use for my fat quarters. I primarily go with 5-inch charms, 10-inch layer cakes, and then the 2.5-inch jelly rolls. And I try to get some of each out of every fat quarter. So with this 10-inch, the goal here is to create a pattern in this block that doesn't require any seams to match. And in order to do that, we have to go a bit off center. So ordinarily, to make a 4-patch out of a 10-inch block, we would cut it 5 and 5. And while that works lovely and it's nice and symmetrical, I love an asymmetrical block. It just adds so much more interest. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this at 6 inches. So I'll have 6 and 4. Now you can choose anything you want. You don't want to get any closer than 2 inches from the very edge because you need enough room for your seam allowance and to press and to make the fabric actually be visible. So with this, we now have a 6-inch piece and a 4-inch piece, and they're by 10 inches. Now every time we cut a seam, we're going to lose a 1/2 inch in our finished block because we have a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each side. So I need to make a cross cut in the opposite direction. Now my question is, do I want to go with the same 4-inch and have a square and then have this 4-inch square, or do I maybe want to go to 3 inches? And then I have a 6 by 7, a 4 by 7, then a 3 by 4, and a 3 by 6. I like that. I think that's going to be more interesting because this block is going to allow these bolder fabrics to stand out and really look awesome because they're going to be almost, what do I want to say, when you showcase or fussy cut. So this, instead of, you know, taking a fabric and cutting a piece in the middle of it and leaving a hole behind, this is sort of an organic way of fussy cutting because now you're going to create different sizes within the quilt block that's going to create that fussy cut block that's going to allow more visibility of that particular print. So I'm going to put this together. The first thing we do is we put, oh wait, before we put it together, let me show you, we have to mix this up because we don't want to have all 4 of the same fabric repeating. So I'm going to take 1 off the top there, put it on the bottom, take 2 off the top here, put it on the bottom, take 3 off the top and put it on the bottom. So I'm going to get 4 of these blocks with these 4 colors, and these prints are going to be mixed up in placement. So it's really going to change the look of every block, even though they're all going to be made with the same colors. So what I'm going to do is sew this seam for each of these. I'm just going to do the top one to show you how to do it because it can be easy to get these all confused and we don't want to mix the colors up. So let me sew these together and show you how we proceed from there. So with the first block sewn together, with the large piece and the small piece on top, sewn across here, if we were to attach this block now and just turn this over and sew it, we have a matching seam. But if we turn it this way, there's no matching seam, and that makes it so much easier. This works out really well. There is one thing I want to show you, because see how this block is the same as this. If, oh, it's over here. If you happen to sew it on the other side, you're going to have an opposite block. Now that's not a problem. You can decide what to do. By having some of these opposite, then it's going to mix up the quilt more. There's not going to be such continuity in the way they're laid out. These quilts, like, let's say here, if I put this block there, because I don't want to, well, of course I wouldn't do that because they're the same fabrics, but let's say I did this one, and then over here, I want to go like this and this way. So they come to the middle, and okay, we're going to keep turning until we get where we want to be. There we go. It's almost like a disappearing 9 patch, isn't it? The way those blocks come in the center. But this is going to be a really fun quilt to put together, and there is no right or wrong. These can go every which way. They're not going to be noticeable whether they're turned one way or the other. There's a lot of fabrics mixed into this. It's going to add incredible versatility, and it's going to be a very interesting quilt. And having some go in every which way, I think, is a lot of fun, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix these up a bit the way I sew them. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to get all my squares cut, and I'll stack them into layers of 4. I will make the 2 cuts. First the vertical and then the horizontal. I'll sew sides to sides, and then I will go ahead and sew them, and my block is finished. Now for me, as far as pressing, I just press to the largest block. For continuity, it works. It's really not a lot of matching up on the side, so it really doesn't matter. Do what works for you. It's just a matter of how it's all going to fit together at the end, and then we'll give it a final press. So there we go. How simple is that block? It is so easy to put together, and these colors are going to be wonderful. There's lots of contrast, a lot of fun prints, some interesting graphics that are going to show up. So I can't wait to show you this. As soon as it's finished, I'll get some pictures for you. Here's a view of our finished quilt. It has 4 blocks by 6, so there's 24 blocks in here. And it makes a great size baby quilt. It measures 36 by 48. I just want to show you how some of these colors look. They came together great. I love how the all these contrast colors help tone down the purple, but really brought out some great color throughout the quilt. I think this is going to be a particular favorite, and I have plenty more blocks. I think I may go ahead and either make this bigger or make another one. I like this a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and get some good photos to show you the whole thing. And there you have it. There's our quilt. And here's a look at this purple asymmetrical 4-patch, all made out of fat quarters, using 10-inch squares, cross-cutting and sewing them together. And look at what a gorgeous quilt this made. I love how it turned out, and I hope you have as much fun. And remember, there is a printable tutorial down below that you can print as a quick reference guide to show you how to make these blocks. Thanks so much for being here today.